Okay. It's definitely fun in here, if you ask me. The reason why I'm smiling is because a certain Felix Nkunda, the child in him, is busy roaming around our premises this morning, perhaps in his other life. Anyway, good morning to you, Uganda, and thank you so much for waking up with us on UPC. We do have the 24th of November 2021 rising and shining. And if you have noted, obviously, the sun comes up a little bit earlier these days simply because it's wanting to catch up with Christmas. But no, that's not the real reason. The real reason is because there's equinox that happens in the early month of October. Mid-October, you get to have a different shift around the solar system within the globe, or the galaxy for that matter. If Molen Kenyana was here, she would be letting us know, but she's going to be back next week, so that is definitely something we'll be picking up on in weather, nature and climate. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and good morning to you once again. As you join us, I do have my two comrades here, Kirabo and Felix Nkunda. I will start with the naughty Felix Nkunda.
Good morning, Priscilla.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you yourself?
What's the name of your problem this morning?
You.
You're moving around,
but yeah,
there's a child in you that has woken up this morning.
I was practicing for something.
Oh, what was that?
You know, when you sleep with toddlers, they keep on rotating in the bed.
Right.
So you need to be either they're chasing you or you're chasing them.
That's true. Yeah. I've had that experience.
So you don't know.
You either end up on the floor or they end up on the floor.
But there must be a winner, and most times you are the loser.
Okay.
So, but anyway, it is another beautiful day. Wednesday is almost midweek, you'd call it. And of course, time is running fast. November is almost getting done, and probably the year is also getting done. Yes,
in a few days, this would be Kirabo, by the way, Christmas Eve, the 24th of December. Do you smell the air, Robert Kirabo?
Sometimes, sometimes mentioning Christmas, people develop stomach pains because of the nature of we celebrate Christmas. If financially you may be the head of the family and not that yet there, they don't even want to hear Christmas, because it's not more of the birth of Jesus Christ. It's more of the eating, the merrymaking. Of course, birthdays will come with rejoicing, but most of the times this is what we find, that we do not look at the actual essence of Christmas. So because we've made it seem something else, then of course you mention Christmas and someone will think, do I have money? Do I have money? But good morning to our lovely viewers. Good morning to you, Priscilla Nalwoga, and of course Felix, yes, just like you say today, the naughty Felix. A lovely morning to you as well, Felix Nkunda.
Okay, all right. Reminds me of the movie I was watching yesterday. It's called Red Notice, and it has that song Notorious. I think it was done by B.I.G.
Notorious B.I.G.
Yes, yeah. So that's the ending track is that particular song. So now when you call him naughty, it's like Notorious Naughty. Anyway, today is Wednesday, and on Wednesday we get to celebrate women here in Good Morning Uganda. So as we get onto the gist of the show, we want to crash on some women. Personally, I am crashing on Right Honorable, the one who is in the hottest seat in Parliament. Can you guess who that is?
The Deputy Speaker?
Yes. Oh, you're sharp, you're sharp. Yes, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Yesterday was her birthday, and so happy birthday to you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And we're so proud of the seat that she's sitting, but also personally for me, she has been outspoken in regards to sports, especially enhancing sports in her region. And that's definitely something we look forward to in her tenure of 5 years, how she's going to transform her region through the tool of sports. Felix Nkunda, who do you crush on this morning?
Well, as I said earlier, it's you. I hope I'm allowed to crush on you.
Oh yeah, I'm allowed to crush.
Not to crush you, on you.
Okay. All right, and then Bob, who are you crushing on today?
I'm crushing on all women in security, more so those at lower ranks this morning. Yesterday, but one, I had a very interesting episode with my friend who was carrying a backpack, and we had to go to CPS to record an interview with the head of traffic, Kampala Metropolitan. Now, I don't know how somehow we forgot that at such a time backpacks at such a street
are seen as
yeah. So my friend here moved straight with his backpack, and I know he's watching. Brother Tony Walugiaba, thank you so much for the good work. So as it gets closer, hell broke loose. He had forgotten, and also somehow was just a distance. He was walking closely to the quarter guard, and women were there. So the panic, though he was temporarily detained, then it was cleared. So that panic brought me to think about these officers at various quarter guards at such a time. So I choose to crush on all women. I crush on you in security. Thank you for the good work you're doing, more so at such a time.
Well, the trauma still lives with us. It's barely a fortnight since we did have the twin bombings in Kampala here, and obviously we do understand where these officers are coming from, the trauma of having lost their fellow comrades in the bomb blast that took place at CPS and another one at Parliamentary Avenue. Well, may the souls that departed rest in peace, and those that are still nursing wounds, and we trust that God is going to give you quick recovery. And we know that police alongside other security agencies are doing their very best to avert security in this country, that is terror threats related. But away from that, we get to kickstart off the show. Of course, we give you a recap of the stories that have taken place and transpired in the last 24 hours. Thereafter, we'll be continuing on with Good Morning Uganda.
We'll begin with a ray of hope in investment in this country from Italians, where the 11-man Italian delegation led by Uganda's ambassador to Italy, Paola Napayok, presented a cross-section of investment enterprises. These include agriculture, medicine, industry, construction, water and energy. The Prime Minister appreciated that diverse investment sector chosen by the investors. She said most of these investment portfolios listed will facilitate Uganda's much cherished parish development model. She said government has invested heavily in improving infrastructure such as roads and building power stations to ensure a reliable supply of electricity at affordable tariffs. She assured the delegation that Uganda's security situation, adding that like any other part of the world, there has been isolated incidences of terrorism in the recent past. The Premier also encouraged the visiting delegation to go out in the field to see for themselves the available opportunities and enjoy Uganda's natural beauty. Italian delegation presented their respective areas of investment to the Prime Minister. They pledged their determination to invest in Uganda given the conducive investment opportunity. State Minister for International Relations Okero Oryem said peace and security has enabled continued local and foreign investment in Uganda. He said investors need to build local capacity with skills, pay taxes and fulfill corporate social responsibility. The second Deputy Prime Minister, retired General Moses Ali, and the Minister for Works and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, also attended. In a related development, the Prime Minister also received a draft copy of the Presidential Advisory Committee on the budget for the financial year 2022-2023. She congratulated members of the team for timely completion of their task.
The Ministry for Gender, Labour and Social Development has revealed that there has been a resurgence of female genital mutilation in communities of Sebei and Karamoja region. While addressing the press at Media Center about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the Minister of State for Culture, Peace Mutuzo, said countries in the East African region have to rethink and come up with strategies to end the cross-border female mutilation, genital mutilation. As the campaign on activism against gender-based violence, cases of violence against women are escalating. This trend of high percentages of spousal violation and child marriages, according to government, are unacceptable. And the State Minister for Culture, Peace Mutuzo, attributes the situation to men and women staying at home during the COVID-19 lockdown with no work. She emphasized the 75 billion shillings is to be spent to attend the gender-based violence cases in a year. Despite the law on female genital mutilation to eliminate this practice in communities that practice it, Sebei and Karamoja in particular, there has been a resurgence of the practice as a result of cross-border Previously, the practice had gone down to 0.3%, but 2020 report indicates that 13% of the girls and 52% of the women being subjected to the cultural harmful practice. Meanwhile, the Ministry for Gender, Labour and Social Development through the Department of Youth and Children has launched a child helpline, Sauti 116, with the aim of creating awareness to children about their rights. The awareness of GBV that will involve activities like dialogue with neighboring countries to end cross-border female genital mutilation starts on the 25th of November and will end on the 10th of December, the day of commemorating the International Day of Human Rights.
Away from female genital mutilation, we now head to Parliament, where Parliament is close to passing the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill that seeks to ease midterm access for workers. Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, adjourned the debate to today morning to finalize with the penalties as part of the amendment. Members of Parliament have welcomed the move, describing it as relief to workers. The communication from the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, set pace for this debate. It then graduated into real amendment processes under the chairmanship of the Speaker. The deliberations rotated around critical issues previously raised by the President, who declined to assent to the bill as had been passed. The issue of NSSF regulation by Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulation Authority also featured in the debate. By the end of the day, the issues of penalties on non-remittancy of NSSF funds remained pending, prompting adjournment to Wednesday morning, which is today. The debate continues today with expectations of the bill's passing.
And finally, the Katikiro of Buganda Kingdom, Charles Peter Mayiga, has appealed to the central government to refrain from making intimidating statements to Ugandans in the aftermath of terror bomb explosions. Katikiro Mayiga made the statements at an event where the Kawaka subjects from different counties of Uganda made pledges to support the kingdom's activities under the Ruarero Rwafe function held at Bulange Mengo. Last Tuesday, 2 terror bombs exploded in Kampala, one at Parliament Avenue and another near Kampala Central Police Station, and 3 people were confirmed dead and 3 suspected terrorists too. Following this explosion, a lot of uncoordinated statements have been given by security agencies about the explosions and the players involved. Some have been killed in surprise on-spot raids, others maimed, and scores of suspected arrests made. However, the Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, is demanding for more explanations from security actors to erase amidst Ugandans. Without menacing words, Mayiga has added his voice to the many voices of right-thinking Ugandans castigating security decisions of killing unarmed and non-violent suspects in surprise raids, describing the undertaking as unlawful. In another development, Katikiro Mayiga cautioned the central government on holding statements that Buganda Land Board is existing unconstitutionally. Meanwhile, over 50 million shillings has been raised from the campaign to support the kingdom. On to our international news this morning.
We'll be looking at regions in Europe face at least 700,000 more deaths by March. Now, World Health Organization comes out to warn that a further 700,000 people could die of COVID by March in Europe. A part of Asia, the World Health Organization has also warned. Now, death toll already exceeds 1.5 million in the 53 countries of what the World Health Organization terms as its European region. Now, the WHO warned of high and extreme stress in intensive care units. 49 of the nations by March 2022 Europe will be facing a surge in the cases, now prompting also Austria to return to lockdown and others to consider fresh measures. Now, a number of countries, including France, Germany and Greece, could also soon make booster jabs a requirement for their citizens to be considered fully vaccinated. Now, in Yemen, war deaths will reach at least 377,000 by end of the year. UN report also comes out now. A new United Nations report has projected that the death toll from Yemen's war will reach at least 377,000 by the end of 2021, including those killed as a result of indirect and direct causes. In a report published on Tuesday, the United Nations Development Programme estimated at least 70% of those killed would be children under the age of 5. Now, it found that 60% of the deaths could have been the result of indirect causes such as hunger, preventable diseases, with the reminders of a result of direct causes like frontline combat and air raids. In the case of Yemen, we believe that the number of people who have actually died as a consequence on conflict exceed the number of those who have died in battlefield, administrators Jim Steyer mentioned. Now, France, Germany are the latest countries to urge nationals to leave Ethiopia. More countries have told their nationals to leave Ethiopia, where an intensifying one-year war between federal troops and forces from the northern Tigray region appear to be taking a dramatic new turn. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed late on Monday announced he would head to the front line on Tuesday to lead his soldiers, declaring, "We are now in the final stage of saving Ethiopia." On Tuesday, France advised its citizens to leave Ethiopia without delay. Germany also called on its citizens to leave the country on the first available commercial flights, following similar advisories from the United States of America, United Kingdom, and recent weeks citing deteriorating security situations. Now, meanwhile, the United Nations said it was temporarily relocating families of international staff from Ethiopia, adding that its personnel would remain in the country.
Well, such is applied for countries like Ethiopia. Reminds me of the fallen General Paul Oket, who was known as the Lion of Mogadishu, defender of the cause. And we have freedom fighters, and we hope that really this situation can eventually come to an end as far as Ethiopia is concerned. Anyway, we continue to soldier on here in Good Morning Uganda. We do have a reminder for you this morning that your health is your wealth.
And that is from Hallelujah Reflexology, where we talk about Hallelujah Jinga tea and Hallelujah turmeric drink every morning. It is our advice and recommendation to you that please, as you kickstart your day, get one of these bottles. They'll boost your immune system, and they're also tasty. Imagine taking turmeric. If you've not tested any of these, it is very tasty, and of course that is the Jinga, and these have been certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, so they are safe for you to take. Just go to the next store and grab yourself one at just 1,500.
Well, yesterday was a repeat of a Europa final last season. Manchester United was on the bench and a lot at stake, but redemption, courtesy of Jadon Sancho's first goal, as well as Mr. Ronaldo, in there to redeem the face of Manchester United against Villarreal in the UEFA Champions League. Felix Nkunda, what are your sentiments in the wake of this win?
Well, you see, soccer has changed very much, and it's what we were talking earlier about with Ruben here. That what we used to see as soccer, I remember when Europa was going to be aired like 10 years ago, man, it would be like the real deal. Lately, you find it in the news. You either missed it because, all these guys, probably it's because we have not, it has not evolved, or it has not grown with the pace of the expectation of fans. Like when I was watching the game, I noticed that even the formations and anyway, largely football has changed. Right. It's not as enjoyable as it used to be. That's the whole point.
Okay. A win for Chelsea against Juventus sees them to the next round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League. A conversation that Ruben Pimachivirango will be giving us on our sports update that will crown our morning here in Good Morning Uganda. However, in that very 8 o'clock hour, we do have Robert Kirabo going to be hosting.
I'm going to be hosting leaders of the Students Association that was initiated by an Act of Parliament, and we'll be discussing the plight of students. We've been in the lockdown. Now we have partial opening where universities and tertiaries are kicking on. We want to look at some of these issues and how best they can be addressed. So they will be joining me at the hour of 8. Do not miss.
In our 7 o'clock hour, of course, we open it up with our newsreel where we get to discuss the stimulus COVID-19 packages. We do have government having signed a partnership with commercial banks worth 200 billion shillings for small and medium enterprises. How is this going to change the economy that is yet to be fully opened? Well, we'll be discussing those details. Of course, getting to look at the papers for this Wednesday morning and a traffic update. Of course, we do have an update for you in regards to UNRA and some repairs that are coming through as you prepare for your Christmas journeys. Away from that, before we leave this particular side of the hour, we get to have our poll question for this morning.
And our poll question is now, how will the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare? How will the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare? But of course, that is what was actually being discussed yesterday, and probably today the discussion will go on and trying to foster ways to have these new amendments become law and part and parcel of the NSSF Act. So we hope and pray that this actually changes the welfare of workers, and this is what we want you to share with us. How does this bill, if brought into law, change the welfare of workers? Now, be able to use our social media handles on Twitter, but also our WhatsApp number is 070-960-2590, and leave a message on the same number, either SMS or WhatsApp.
Well, the bill does give leeway for those that have been serving with NSSF for 10 years and above to withdraw a certain percentage by the age bracket of 45, which is a good thing. You don't have to wait for you to actually be a senior citizen to be enjoying your money. You can get it at 45 and reinvest it into something that can then sustain you for the rest of your lifetime. That is it for this side of the hour for Good Morning Uganda. We take a short commercial break. Leave you with the song for the day. Let's find you in the 7 o'clock hour, and good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Top.
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love my soul.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co-Uganda, Office of the President.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday 28th November 2021 and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#. Select Payment, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning to you once again and welcome to a brand new day. In case you have just joined us, you are watching UBC and this is Good Morning Uganda. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga alongside Felix Nkunda and Robert Kirabo, and into a new hour where we now start off by looking at our newsreel this morning. But before we go any further, we just want to let you know about our daily poll this morning so that we can have your engagements shared with us later on.
Another poll question is, how will the NSSF bill be brought into law, change the workers' welfare? How will the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare? And hit our social medias, that is hashtag UBCGMU, that is on Twitter, but also our WhatsApp number is 0709 60 25 92.
Well, one of the backbones of the NSSF bill amendment is COVID-19 and how people actually had to literally sell body parts to be able to cover the costs of COVID-19 in hospitals when it comes to the heavy bills, especially for the private medical sector. And it also introduces us to what our conversation is going to be based on this morning. COVID-19 and the aftermath of it. It's now been here, coming to 2 years for us here in Uganda, and we've had government coming out to help different sectors be revived and rejuvenated to still be able to support the country moving forward. The COVID-19 stimulus packages is not news, but we've definitely had it given out to different groups of people to help them be able to get back into business, get back into work, so that they can be able to thrive through the hard times. And as of yesterday, we had government signing a 200 billion agreement with commercial banks and microfinances institutions in this very same regard, the purpose of which is to support small and medium enterprises so that they can be able to thrive through the COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that the economy was completely shut down, especially in the first total lockdown. Even in the second lockdown, you had a lot of businesses that had to put their tools of trade down and pause for a moment, which caused them to either get into losses. If you look at those that had equipment, they had to lose some of their properties simply because of the impact of COVID-19 and them being out of work. And now they're trying to get back into work, but they need help here and there, and government is trying to provide with them a stimulus package that can be able to help them revive their businesses ahead of the full reopening of the economy come 2022 in January, as His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni did commit to us continuously. And so we want to look at how the Ministry of Finance is coming out to support small and medium enterprises. Of course, if you look at the provisions that have been shared on those that will be eligible for these particular fund and also package, you do have businesses operating either by individual, operating by group, partnerships, or even companies, and they must be employing 5 to 49 people in that company, and then they must have an annual turnover of between 10 million and 100 million shillings, and the borrower or a group of borrowers can access the financing once under this particular stimulus package, and they can borrow up to 100 million shillings. Now, I think this is a step in the right direction in boosting the economy, but also enabling the small and medium enterprises to stand up once again and support the economy.
Thank you, Priscilla. First, I think there are two issues that government must address very well when it comes to these stimulus packages, because it is not the first time that government is trying to come out and help or have stimulus packages. I just want to remind you, we had a stimulus package for people in the tourism sector. We had one for people in the tourism sector. And what happened then was that much as the monies were available, people did not take them. That is one. Second, government has always had two challenges. Number one has been recovery of the monies. That most of the times when government comes out to help stimulate a certain category in terms of finances, they have had recovery problems. Then the other issue has also been low intake, where the people have complained of bureaucracy, that there is so much that is required for people to access this money. But for this particular fund, for me, I just want to look at one critical area, Priscilla, Felix, and those watching us, is in terms of recovery. I think that we can fight, because when money goes through a commercial bank, Priscilla, we all know that recovery is something most of the times that you're going to get, because they'll either take the assets, but they'll recover that money, contrary to what we've seen in groups, what we've seen in circles. But then there is an endurance in commercial banks. This is security or collateral, that you'll find that most of these SMEs, small, medium enterprises, may not have even the necessary collateral. For example, when we talk about the physical, we know car, logbooks, land, something like that. So if you do not address the issue of collateral or security, this very good initiative may be a problem. Mostly because it's commercial banks. Yes, government has put about 100 billion as a top-up on this. But if you don't address that issue, you might find that many of these will go to these banks because small, medium, and they'll be asked for collateral they don't have, so they'll run away. However, the recovery issue will be addressed. Second has always been interest rate. You know, when you go to get a loan, the first thing you factor in is the interest rate. You could have the security that is needed, but how much are you paying back? This also in one way government has looked at it, because if they tell you that it's almost paying 10% of the money you're getting, that is fine, the interest rate. But have we ensured that we've given this people more sensitization to know that if you've been going for a loan in a bank of 16, almost 20% interest rate, this is something cheaper. But also in business, there is what we call timeliness of how fast one can get a loan. You know, with SMEs, if you understand them very well, these are people who need most of the times quick loans. Not like these big companies that when it's planning, a person may be a supplier of something, and all they need is quick money. They have gotten an order. Felix comes to this small company and says, maybe I want you to make for me 1,000 desks. He owns a school. So this person needs quick money. How quick can I access this loan so that I can give Felix the furniture he wants? Felix can pay me, I continue. So the bureaucracy and how expeditious are these loans going to be? Because you must understand who your target audience is. If your target audience is small and medium, understand their complicities, the technicalities that hinder them from accessing loans. If these are well understood, I want to believe this is a very good initiative, because it addresses the issue of timeliness. It addresses the issue of recovery, which is very vital. That has been a big challenge for government. Then it addresses the issue of interest rate also as well. Okay, let's look at the research reports that have been conducted that highlight the cost of capital, the cost of transport. They highlight the cost and efficiency of power, and the cost and adaptation of technology being one of the major challenges of small and medium business enterprises in this economy right now, and the accessibility and availability of stimulus packages for such SMEs to be able to, as he has stated, quickly get the money, invest it into the business, and be able to pay it back in time. The big question is, I've been contemplating, as my brother Robert has been clearly inducing his submission, that who is being stimulated? Because the earlier we answer that, the earlier for us to understand the essence. Who do we seek to stimulate? Because one thing will lead to the other. As you talk of stimulating SMEs, the entire intention is to stimulate the economy. That's true. By far. What stimulates the economy, or what keeps the economy running? The analogy of giving birth or getting pregnant is not conclusive for having a child. When someone gets pregnant, you don't conclude that they have a child, not until they have given birth. And the reasoning is simply that there are many things that must happen for this pregnancy to actually mature into having a child, or having a real baby for that matter. And some of these are catered under the normalities of practices like antenatal. You must desist from some practices. For example, some people are advised to leave some hard work. Some are told to avoid alcohol, pressure, exactly, alcohol, avoid so many things depending on your health. Now, what is the health status of our economy? Because we are imagining now that we are pregnant. The status of this child we are holding, the economy we want to deliver, to bring out, we can't look at it from the end. Now we are planning for a child, yet we still have a pregnancy, and that's what I see in this whole thing of stimulus package. So what is the exactly in this particular conversation? One, we are dealing with a situation. You see, it will be very unfair. Let me just give you one example. What is the biggest challenge of people directly, the people who are directly in charge of the economy, away from government? What is their biggest challenge lately? It is simply taxation. Secondly,
the cost of operation in this country for these businesses is the problem. Between you and me, you are going to give people a stimulus package from one end, the right will give and the left will
take.
Let's say someone is going to get 1 billion shillings. And if out of the 1 billion shillings, how much of that money is going to be taxed?
Here you have a maximum of 10 of 100 million.
Okay. Out of 100 million, how much of that is taxed in terms of the cost of operation?
Yeah, because
now,
the commercial banks have to do, their due diligence in
that is one.
Yes.
The cost of the administration of this fund, look at it. But the implementation of the project as well, it has a cost. Secondly, even when you go to the latter, what would be the end user? There are other costs. You're talking about 100 million. Let's talk about the cost of operation on a ratio scale in Kampala. How much does an SME, you talked about how many employees?
5 to 49.
Okay, let's look at average, about 20. How much are their operational costs a month? So it is not good enough for us to talk about, again, the baby, if we are not willing to make sure the pregnancy is safe. It's what I'm trying to bring. That it is not enough for us to discuss these stimulus packages if we are not discussing the other technicalities that surround the well-being of businesses in this country. I think the discussion should have started from revising the revenue relations with such businesses.
But you see, we can't have that conversation already because we sort of shot ourselves in the foot when we now have a contribution of local taxes, 76% of it.
And that's what I'm saying.
Current budget. So that means that we have to support that at whatever cost.
But also, let me say this, that cannot be at the cost of the economy. I can repeat that and probably I'll even explain it. Even if we are contributing 100% to our budget, it shouldn't be at the cost of a limping economy. It is as good as useless. It's like you bragging about having very many and beautiful uneducated children. For you to talk about the numbers, it is good, but they are as good as useless. The numbers are useless if they're not productive. So when you talk about contribution of 70%, yet it is coming from a paining, dying. When you get it now, you want to put it back. What's the use? And yet if you support them to stand, in as much as they may contribute, not as much as that, but they would make sense. For example, look at the employment rate. How many people are employed under SME setup?
Well,
and that's why you have a friction between the informal.
Actually, they've had to cut on their cost of employment.
My point exactly. Priscilla, we had an argument at the start of the first lockdown. Just 1 month into the lockdown, over 1,000 companies had closed. And that is the question. And we were somewhere deliberately, and we asked ourselves, were these indeed companies? Were these indeed business ventures which can't stand a month? Probably, exactly.
Without operation.
Probably we misjudged them, or they had a better sight. Probably they had seen what was coming.
Sometimes, Felix, lockdown was complicated. There are businesses that were directly affected, and of course they couldn't continue with operation. So the thing would be closure, definitely. That was an impact. But when you look at the background of this, I was listening to Honorable Matia Kasaja. He said when they carried out a research, they found out that the most affected are SMEs. And remember, this time around, our government is going to do more domestic borrowing. And when government carries out domestic borrowing, this is how it goes down to affect these other people. Because government is borrowing from commercial banks in Uganda, where these traders, these SMEs, are also borrowing. So what do commercial banks do? What they do, of course, government is a better client to them. So they hike their interest rates, and it leaves these other people finding it hard to borrow from the same institutions. So that is why government came up with a tailor-made package for this particular group, that as there could be competition, which you SMEs cannot handle, but these other multi or big companies can, because of their insurance, and there is so much. Let's come out with something that favors you, that is tailor-made for you directly. However, also another challenge, as Felix was deliberating, that I noticed is when you talk about these SMEs, many of them may not be that very organized. For example, many of them, if you tell them that they must have an annual turnover of 10 to 100 million, you might find that many of them, even their books sometimes are not that very smart. So the qualifications could be the hindrance. But having a tailor-made or cut-out package for them to avoid this big competition, I think is something welcome.
Okay, all right. It's a very interesting argument. But as you make your submission, we also want to look at the goal of this particular stimulus package, and that's of course for small and medium enterprises. And then you have to look at one of sort of, the conditions that were given between this partnership between government and financial institutions is that when it comes to collateral, that can be agreed between the lender and the borrower, which we all know, of course, the lender has an upper hand and they call the shots because they're the ones with the money, that you're the one in need and they want to support you. So you as a borrower, you don't have that much power to sit down and discuss, like, look here, this is what I have, can you be able to give me this much money alongside this? So you get to look at, physical collateral. Of course, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija, said it can be physical. I mean, for those of you that have physical things, tangible things, it can be contracts. For those of them that actually work on contractual basis, they can submit some contracts to be able to borrow against those, among other forms of collateral. But then again, it feels like it's still going to leave it up, giving the power to the financial institutions to decide and not really have the consideration of the purpose for which this package is being
But the power never left the lender. It can never leave the lender, because they're the ones who have, it is always with them. Even with any sort of formation, it has to always be with the lender. But this whole thing of security is one of, you see, and I can predict, and you will come here and tell us that over 100 billion are still lying in those banks because people have not picked that money.
Actually, do you know what happened? It went to the wrong category of people. So the money is not there. It went to the wrong category. When Kasita was carrying out, remember the first stimulus package?
Yes.
Kasita, Uganda, tried to access this money, but later found out that this money had been borrowed out
already
to other big companies, because Kasita...
That was, of course, in reference to that particular package. This is a whole different package altogether. So we can't really base what you're saying on the new package. Yes, Felix?
Yeah, and you see, the challenge we have is that when you get such a package with the good intentions it carries, and you limit, you see there are these things that I think even you mentioned them earlier, Priscilla, accessibility and availability. The fund is available. Is it accessible?
Yeah, if you follow the criteria.
As long as there's an if in your statement, Madam Priscilla.
Are you having 49 employees in your company?
That's the thing.
Do you make
now,
up to 10 million or to
do I tailor make
and
this
annually?
Is the problem.
Those companies do exist.
As a student of corporate governance, I cannot tailor make a company to a fund. That's what they're asking us. That arrange your company like this to get the
no,
fund.
it is not a regular company like this. The research indicates that the companies in this particular spectrum.
Exactly. But there are companies that are not in that particular definition.
Then they don't qualify for their own package.
No, but they qualify. For example, when you look at SMEs, the definition of SMEs is not limited to 49 people.
True, that is very true.
It doesn't. And that's what I'm saying, that the fund has created its own definition of SMEs. But when you go to corporate governance,
a certain category under SMEs that they are targeting.
That's the thing. But the word SMEs is wider than 49 people. It can go about 150 people.
It is wider, but you see, what you're saying is the bigger frame. But these particular ones also are falling under SMEs, are they not?
That's very true.
Exactly. So let's focus on these ones.
No, okay, fine, for purposes of that. But the question is, what you're looking at remedying, you cannot limit in that collusion. If you want to bring, for example, because the discussion is about reviving the economy, are these the only contributors to that?
Felix,
do we expect that after that they are going to say from 50 to 100?
Maybe a point of information, my brother. Why particularly it is this particular group? You see, there are enormous stimulus packages that have come out. go to Uganda Development Bank. Government has been giving out various stimulus packages. And why this particular? Because they have noticed that this particular category of the monies available as stimulus packages, they have not been getting that money. And they looked at the bottlenecks that have made it very impossible. That when you put money in Uganda Development Bank, in Uganda Cooperative Bank, some of these groups, because of the few numbers, because of the challenges that they have, the maybe annual turnover of just 10 to 100, banks may not appreciate them as clients.
Yes.
So they're not only looking at this category, others have also been catered for.
But what you see, even in submission of what you're saying, I think Felix's statements are contradicting, because earlier you said that in just the first lockdown we had thousands of small businesses closing, and the purpose as to why those small businesses closed is because probably they were still startups. They had not yet reached the maturity or the break-even point that allows them to be in this frame. So we are looking at these businesses probably because now for them they have developed an arm and a bond for the business that they do to be able to support this economy continuously, and there's return on their investments that government has recognized and they want to support them. So those are the ones that they are focusing on.
I think what I was saying earlier is that you may not remedy the formal or what we call the formal sector piecemeal. You may have to look at the total approach towards remedying the general problems. Now, once you start picking out particular sectors, again, you're going to deal with particularities, but not the general challenges. And that's what I said earlier, that if you want to help what you want to call the corporate aspect in terms of investment, look out what is their most important need. And generally, Robert, you're talking about the issue of different categories have been catered for and all this and what. Let me tell you, address the problem. What do corporate, or what does the corporate line of transaction in terms of businesses need in this country? Let's look at how many government contracts are related to them. Do we have how many contracts? How many times does government work with these institutions? Because that's one of the requirements under corporate governance, that governments should continuously engage in terms of what we call thorough contracts and follow-up contracts. How many of them are given? Let's look at consultants in terms of expatriation of work. And that will stretch far: industrialization, infrastructure, and all that. How many times? How many times does government contract such firms for research? Because these are the core values, and these are written. These are per standing orders. They're requirements that they should be done. If you say borrowing, and this is not for some of you who have borrowed money, it is not a conclusive solution to lend money if some things are not in place. Let's look at the leadership styles. These are things that make institutions fail. And you've seen, if you look at the report, by then I think it was Madame Amelia who gave us that report. One of the reasons why you had most of these companies fall out was some of those ethical issues. What is the plan of helping these companies get back on their feet, away from just giving them money? If someone comes to borrow money and they are sinking, what assurance is it that the issue, or what the only thing they need is money? It is going to be hard, and you're going to, and we shall be here. You're going to see people's houses being taken and all that and what, or whatever collateral it is and what. Because it is not only money that is needed for some of these institutions to thrive.
That is true. It's
you
not
must
only
have
money
that bitter discussion.
Needed, but again, money is essential in what.
But do you know how much money government loses in such ventures?
Of the leadership styles that you're talking about, it is still going to come down to the cost
I
of
find
money.
this very interesting, and I also buy into Felix's argument. Yes, we agree it's not only money, but I think the biggest challenge we've always had is understanding the category. And I want to use an example. If you want to be effective in my profession, is you must know who your audience is. Who am I speaking to in my profession? So when it comes to business, you must understand that what are these kind of businesses employing 5, to 49 people a maximum. You find that to a certain extent, these are growing businesses. And maybe they have not reached that peak where government can go to them for consultation.
Robert,
and also, yes, these are growing businesses, Felix.
Okay.
They're growing. And also, you find that what is their biggest need? You know, a company, an SME that has been registered, could have been for some time. And what is important here is their biggest problem. You may even find such companies go to URA. They have exemptions in terms of taxes. They do have that. Unless your turnover is this, you don't qualify to pay this, you don't qualify to pay this. They are not paying or tax at the same pace as other companies. There are incentives that are provided to see these businesses climb to a better level. Their biggest challenge, and I want to emphasize this, has been monies in COVID-19 that they could have been locked. So they ate the little they had. Okay. Now they have market because you are opening the economy. Look at the construction industry, Priscilla.
The little they had. They utilized the little
they utilized
the little they had.
Look at how fast the construction industry is growing since we partially opened our economy. Many of us will tell you, Netaga capital. I have orders, I have this, I want to buy this machine, I sold off my machine because people will not starve when I have something to sell. Right. So when government comes and provides an avenue to liquidate them and at low interest and tailor-made for them, I think this is a step in the right direction.
Let's look at the method of the disbursement of these stimulus packages in particular, Felix.
Well, personally, I'll be honest, I am not convinced by much of what has been offered in terms of mannerism, in terms of approach, in terms of availability, even the disbursement for that matter. As long as there's an attachment to bring, I give, I think it's a risk. And the fact that also government is smartly not taking direct liability out of this, that's why it is handing it to
commercial banks
and
microfinance
as a method of disbursement. Because if government owned it, it would have made more sense. Then it's a stimulus package. Because what Robert is going to do, or what government thinks it's doing, Robert can do without government. I'm thinking. Yes. Can't you borrow money from a bank with security? You can't.
The interest rate will be a determinant.
What's the difference?
But the point is you can borrow.
As soon as you can. Because if I want, so that's why I'm saying that now the method of disbursement is not entirely owned by government. And that's the fear. That's the fear. In fact,
the Nalwoga fund, first compare the
exactly.
Nalwoga fund
Look at
to
those,
this kind of packages.
The words,
it would be much more easier for these to
actually
get money from.
It is partially owned.
Yeah.
Now that's why the people who don't have kind language will say this is a ploy by government through banks to assist them get clientele, to lure clientele to banks,
which they have also been struggling with.
And harsher people will say that people in government
struggling in this
will earn from this. So the method, the parties, for me, I think there are still questions. If you see, when you use the word stimulus, there are things you don't put in the same line. For example, collateral, it means already you've kicked out a particular sector of people in that. And remember, these are incorporated companies. One of the requirements that if under incorporation, a company is a standalone from the members.
Yes, but also,
so it stands alone. You can't bring, you may bring property of Kirabo or Priscilla, but then is that company property, even if they're directors? You see, there are these challenges that must be addressed by far. Now, the fact that government is standing, but yet if it was government, like you said, the different funds have been put, Emyoga, Parish,
youth livelihood.
The requirements are simple because they are actually intended to boost
livelihood,
to start up to exactly.
And recovery has been that problem.
Is for me, is a bit skeptical.
So just so we take this discussion a little bit deeper, what's the difference between this kind of stimulus package and what Parliament was proposing for private education?
It's you see, actually, for the schools, it was, I think, much better, and I'll tell you why. There was more assurance. Like it was, in our language, you say it was a sure deal.
Because the economy for them is going to open up.
There's an assurance, exactly, that people,
all schools are going to be
people
open,
will have to go back to school.
Must go back
so
to school.
It is easier
so
even for banks.
Guarantee.
Exactly. Okay. You don't need collateral. The collateral is the fact that they'll open. So what you have to do is to make sure the banks sign what we call DTs with banks that say we shall be collecting in this manner. It is more, actually it is safer through that.
So then why was it rejected if it was purposed to stimulate the education
political
sector?
motives.
Of course, the money is required. Were not something that really was available at a time, according to finance.
How
but
much
also,
money was required?
Each school was supposed to get 100 million.
No, but how totally? What
and
was the total?
We have about 28,000 private institutions.
I think we have that money.
So when you calculate
if
that at a time,
could appear,
1 billion
start small. We will this much money
1 billion, because not all the schools want the money.
To borrow that
money. Those who will apply.
Yes.
Some of the schools have.
Still going to have its terms and conditions on who's eligible for this money. Anyway, this conversation is deep. It also then begs the question of the formal sector and informal sector, and where should the focus now be, now that we have less than 40 days into January 2022, where the economy is supposed to be fully opened, and this economy has a lot of informal employment in it that also needs to be helped. Of course, the Nabanja money tried to do something, but then the continuity of it, we wait to see anyway how the informal sector is also going to be stimulated back into livelihood. Away from that, we get to look at the black and white of the tabloids this morning. Later on, traffic updates and a recap into our poll question this morning.
And that will be how the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare. How will the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare? That is on our social medias. We expect you to say something on UBC GMU, that is on Twitter, but also on WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92.
Okay, you can also send us an SMS on that line. We do get to look at the papers now.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday 28th November 2021 and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, St. Ben Chwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#. Select payment, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Keeping you informed is a major mandate every morning. That is why we now resort to giving you information of some of the stories in the dailies. I have the New Vision, Felix has the Daily Monitor and the Daily Nation. While the front page, schools opening date set, likely to report at the same time. All children are likely to report at the same time. Then still regarding education, there is much on Pass O level where there is Senior 3 Chemistry, Geography and Biology plus Senior 2 English. There is a picture there of police battle with suspected criminals, an operation that was conducted there in Chisenyi downtown where a number were arrested, and we see there one being picked from a drainage system. Also on regional news, suspected skull hunter arrested. That is more regarding, and you'll find that full story on page 33. But also we look at Nabakoba's actions illegal. That is Auditor General there. But also we look at what we've just been discussing this morning, which is 200 billion released to COVID hit small businesses. Yes, Felix.
Daily Monitor, MPs finally allow early access to NSSF money and why containerized housing is a growing trend in Uganda. And of course also police tighten security after bomb blast, and we see a picture here of the CPS and how they're trying to do that. Now bar owners, artists ask government to reopen the night economy, and the East African community states move to cut number of Yala MPs. Now meet the new visually impaired magistrate and Museveni doctors strike pay deal. Sheikh Galabuzi elected new leader of Kachibuli Muslim faction, and patients stranded as doctors strike. But of course from the archives, Queen Elizabeth walks down the red carpet with President Museveni at State House. That was in 2007. Now today in history, police evade court, and also US president allegedly assassin shot dead.
In the vision, we'll begin with a COVID-19 tracker for Uganda, where new confirmed cases are 31, positivity rate 0.8, new death 1, total death registered in the country so far is 3,250. So once again, go for that jab. Let's avoid death as a result of COVID-19, but also perfect the SOAPs, that is the standard operating procedures, to avoid contracting COVID-19 and spreading COVID-19 so that the infection rate is low. Still, as we gear to World AIDS Day on the 1st of December, there's a picture of Supercharger, that is Moses Nsubuga, singing with a band. This is one of the ambassadors when it comes to spreading the gospel against HIV/AIDS. People have come out to freely disclose their status. But also facts about HIV/AIDS. What does U equal to U mean? That is a question where the experts answer. We look at today in history. It was on this date, November 24th, the year 1998, when Sebagala's motion was dismissed. That is the United States court dismissed a motion by Nasa Antege Sebagala's defense to have charges of false statement and transportation dropped.
Now in sports, one more shot at Open for, that is actually Nai, and also Olympic podium, double trust Cheptegei to athletics Oscars and shortlist, but also Mukwala bags, that is quadruple, and success is not accidental, that is Isiaji coming out to tell FUFA now. Woolfall, FIFA's revolutionary English president. Now cricket cranes dedicate African crown to EU coach fans.
In the New Vision Sport, we look at the Netball League. There is more match there, and I'm Ugandan. who says we'll have a scout who is here to ensure that he gets and develops more talent in athletics in Uganda here. But also regarding international soccer, the vision has so much for you there. But don't forget, Ruben will be here to give you all the updates in the world of sports.
And now, well, of course, in the Daily Nation, where we look at the making of a third political force, One Kenya Alliance, and the Mount Kenya, that is a drum combling team to the C, Raila and Ruto. Now, of course, also there had been no agreements whatsoever. Ken Second would be running. Now Mudavadi factor in Ruto and Raila fall out. Well, of course, much of what is in the paper is also about the forthcoming elections, and of course we see loggerheads of Raila and Ruto there who will take the day, and that will be next year. We pray that these elections go on well. Of course, much also in the paper, we're looking at looking into the space that is Mashari picked to host Kenya's space sport, and of course do more to combat terrorism. Joho tells governors at a particular forum. Now, of course, apart from that, we want to head onto the roads, but before that, let's look at a poll question with Priscilla.
This morning, just to remind you and seek for your engagement, we get to look at how will the NSSF bill, if brought into law, change the workers' welfare. Hashtag UBCGMU, get onto our Twitter handle, which is at UBCTV Uganda, and give us your 2 cents in responses. Equally, send us a WhatsApp on 0709 60 25 92, and we'll be able to catch your engagements there. But regarding traffic this morning, we do have a public notice that has been put out by Uganda National Roads Authority, dated 23rd, 2021 November, looking at the repair works at Karuma Town Centre along Gulu Highway, following the works of the 600 MW Karuma hydropower project by Sino Hydro Corporation Limited. The section of road at Karuma Town Centre along the Kampala-Gulu Highway was damaged by the project construction, traffic and machinery. The Ministry for Energy and Mineral Development, through the UEGCL, together called the employer, instructed the contractor to undertake repairs, starting with the works on the proposed diversion stroke alternative route for all traffic before commencing major works on the damaged section. The intervention has led to closure of a section of the road to traffic to pave way for the repair works. Now, this is to inform all road users that the repair works on the damaged section, which is at Karuma Town Centre along the Gulu Highway, that they will be commenced and they will be expected to run up to January 2022. And during this period, some traffic flow delays are anticipated. A diversionary route has been provided. Of course, it's a temporary road adjacent to the highway, and motorists are urged to drive carefully at this section and to obey safety signage in place. Apologies to the esteemed clients for any inconveniences caused, and this is from the management of UNRA, which is very, very key, because now we're getting into the festive season, so this is the kind of information, especially for people who go back to the village and come from Arua, they come from Gulu, they come from Lira. All these are the affected northern parts of Uganda that will always use this Karuma Dam route as a major route getting into Gulu and other parts of northern Uganda. So now a diversionary route will be created, and that means that for every one of you that is having to do business beside or go visit people back home, you're going back for a burial, please have that into consideration. And when you get to the Karuma Trading Center, just slow down in search of the new diversionary route, as the works commencing are ongoing and will be expected to be concluded come January 2022, which is quite a long time. Now, looking at the traffic for works that were being done on the Nalia roundabout extensively with the Kampala Northern Bypass, you get to see that now, of course, there's a new face for the Nalia roundabout, which which has opened up traffic, especially traffic that is coming in from Namugongo and Nalia. And every single morning previously, while the works were still ongoing, this would be a red zone entirely. But as you can see, as of this morning, it's a green zone, meaning that the new face of the Nalia roundabout has opened up traffic to easily flow into the heart of the city. And so you only have just a few pointers here. Mogus, which is just a little bit of a narrow and yet brings in so many feeder roads in this particular area code. That's why you would be seeing some bit of an orange line there. Now, away from the Nalia roundabout, heading into Nalia, wanting to make our way into the heart of the city. On Nalia Road, you only get to have another headache of traffic jam on the Maweje Interaction Road getting into Chiwatule. And that is the only place. Of course, it's a sharp corner, and so traffic has to slow down because it has the sharp corner bend from Nalia Road into Majwala Road, and then also another sharp corner on Majwala Road connecting into Chiwatule. And yet the road is very narrow to accommodate heavy speeding, and so people have to slow down, which means the traffic has to also be slowed down, and that's why you're seeing this part of traffic here. Obviously, you also do have traffic that is coming in from Najera, Chiwatule, getting into the heart of the city through Ntinda, and because they're trying to join the main route, which is the old Kira Road, they definitely will be faced with a lot of traffic as they get to maneuver onto old Kira Road. That's an alternative route for you. Now, there's usually a lot of jam, of course, where you do have Isabella, where you do have Cannon Road. Cannon Road is usually an alternative route for people that are coming in from St. Martha's Lane, people that are coming in basically from Minister's Village. They usually use Cannon Road to make a connection to the old Kira Road and get into Ntinda, avoiding the long stretch of jam that appears between the Cannon Road and the trading center in Ntinda. However, if you were to look on the other side in Minister's Village this morning, surprisingly, Chigobe Road is having a long stretch of traffic right from where you do have the National Council of Higher Education. That's where the traffic is being picked up from onto Chigobe Road, and then you get to have this traffic feeding into the Ntinda Trading Center. Matters Way is also having heavy traffic heading onto Chigobe Road, and then that feeds it into the Trading Center equally. Obviously, a lot of people that are coming in from the other likes of probably Nakawa will use the route through Chambogo, Banda, connect to Chigobe Road, and then connect to this side of Ntinda without having to go through Spear Motors traffic jam. Now, looking at Old Kira Road, of course, the interaction of Matters Road, Chigobe Road, and Old Kira Road will always give you traffic jam at this particular section. But away from that, with the new traffic lights in Ntinda Trading Center, then the route clears up and you do have flowing traffic in the heart of Ntinda into Bukoto. Just to take it from there, Ntinda Sasi Road gets to stretch you into Ntinda Road, where we also get to see that this road has been newly redone, and it has managed the stance of traffic and has eased up on how easily people get to access this area code without having to worry much about traffic. And of course, the introduction of traffic lights at some of these points has also helped in management of traffic and how easily it gets to flow. Ntinda Road is definitely going to be bringing us into the area code of Spear Motors this morning, where we get to see some traffic jam heavily pouring into the Spear Motors area code. Nakawa Ginger Road is bringing in a lot of traffic from Chinawataka and people that are using Chireka back route as an alternative route to the main road of the Kampala Ginger Highway. Obviously, that is an indicator showing you that, of course, there's a lot of traffic coming in from Bwege, Banda, Chireka, heading into the heart of the city. But alternatively, even on the other side, for traffic that is coming in from Ginger Road, Nakawa, heading into Bwegere Banda Chireka, is also heavy this morning. And there were traffic lights, but passed there most recently, and the traffic lights are no more functioning. I don't know if they were just testing them when they put them up, or it's intentional that they've been put out to better manage traffic. The purpose of the traffic lights is that everyone can easily obey a traffic light, and if you disobey a traffic light, you're definitely going to get on the wrong side of the road, wrong side of the law, and probably an accident. But now, if the traffic traffic lights are removed, everyone for themselves and the road for all of us, and that's what usually causes jam at Spear Motors. Now looking into Nakawa this morning, Katalima Road is bringing some sort of traffic, and it does have a long stretch of traffic that comes in. We're connecting Ntinda 2 Road, and so some people are trying to avoid probably the jam they'll find at Spears. They will use Katalima Road and bring it right into Nakawa, and that way you can better still get into either the likes of Spears or the likes of Nakawa on this lower end. You do have Newport Bell Road also that is expected to be bringing in some sort of jam from Moobs area code, but we don't see indicator of that. It looks to be a clear route past Moobs into Akamwesi and connecting you on to the area code of Bugolobi, which Bugolobi does not have much traffic jam this morning except for the interaction of Spring Road and 5th Street, where you do have heavy traffic, and that is simply because it's an industrious area. You do have goods and services being provided, and you do have trucks on the road that are trying to maneuver their way into the industrious area. Into the rest of Old Port Bell Road, heading on to the Airtel roundabout. Adjacent of it is Kampala Ginger Highway, of course, where you do have the Lugogo area code. We don't see much jam being reflected here in the area code of Lugogo, and that is good news. So you can use the Kampala Ginger Highway between the Airtel roundabout and Lugogo Nakawa this morning. It seems to be clear. You interestingly have jam that is coming from the Airtel roundabout onto Old Port Bell Road, and that is simply because of the number of people that wake up to actually make an early entrance into the Ministry of Internal Affairs Uganda, and so there's a lot of traffic jam that they cause on this other side of traffic that is heading from Airtel roundabout into the area codes of Ugolobi or the industrious area. Then you also get to bring it right to where we are closely, a sneak peek into 8th Street, 7th Street, 6th Street, all having jam building up to the Mukwano roundabout this morning. A red zone on the Mukwano Road, of course, around the railway here. It's become more cumbersome to actually maneuver easily. There are potholes that are digging directly around the railway, making it hard for cars, especially small saloon cars, to maneuver their way and have access to the rest of Mukwano Road. Also, because it's under construction, because of the Kampala flyover, definitely it's going to be slowing down as the flyover continues to take shape. Access road onto Ginger Road, you do have it having some sort of traffic jam, but there's a police post here that is always committed to managing the traffic jam in there. Away from that, into Yusuf Rude Road looks clear. You do have Ginger Road that also looks squarely clear, except for, of course, a bit here at Esso Corner. You do have some jam because, of course, the feeder road that cuts through, and that is Nasser Road, but the rest of it is actually clear for you to maneuver. Back to our poll question and your responses. We do have some responses here. This is Geoffrey Opil from Gulu. NSSF money will help workers to benefit their savings retirement when the law has been changed, cause it will allow them to plan on that money early before their time. Okay, when they have some energy. Yeah, that's a good submission. Hi, good morning, Uganda. I am Owen Tumwesije, Masindi District, and we do have him saying NSSF midterm bill will help workers easily access mortgage facilities due to the outstanding security from NSSF funds, hence meeting their short and long-term needs. Okay, that's also a very good submission here. Of course, we do have someone saying good morning, Ugandans, and this is Chris from Kabale University. We also do have someone else saying good morning, Uganda. Thank you for the program. I'm watching from Cindy, and this is Kato Dennis. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. To see if we have any respondents on Twitter here on a poll question. Okay, we do have some respondents. Eric, Sama, Kasule, Peter, Gordon, Kaketo, thank you so much all for being responded to our Twitter poll question. And of course, UBC West, of which UBC West, we do have Mark who was transferred to Mbale, does the morning show on UBC West. Good morning to you, Mark, and thank you so much for always watching Good Morning Uganda as you serve the people of Western Uganda. Anyway, thank you so much for being a part of the 7 o'clock hour here at Good Morning Uganda. We do have agenda coming up starting off our 8 o'clock hour, so please stay with us, and that will be wrapped up with the best sporting conversation you can have in the middle of the week. Manchester United, courtesy of Ruben Pima Chibirango.
This is Good Morning Uganda. Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation. Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Top.
How to get points. Just